Hello everyone, welcome and or welcome back to my channel. I'm Em, and the video we're going to be doing today is kind of something that I've been kicking around in my head for a little bit. I have a handful of authors who I have read maybe one book from them and had an okay time. It wasn't something that I hated, but I also wasn't as good as I had thought it was going to be. So I thought, well, maybe this author just isn't for me. But these are very prolific authors and they publish regularly and they get a lot of love. And so I started to think, maybe I've just read the wrong book. Maybe I picked the wrong place to start. So this little author taste test, I'm going to pick one author. I'm going to read 2 to 3 of their books and see if my first impression was accurate and this is not really the right author for me, or if maybe I was wrong and this is a new favorite author. I just picked the wrong book to start. So we're going to kick off this idea with Silvia Moreno-Garcia. I have read The Daughter of Dr. Moreau because it was a Hugo finalist a couple of years ago, and I didn't like it very much. I can't really remember exactly what I did not like about it, but in the 2 years since, 3 years, I have really locked into the fact that I don't love retellings, and The Daughter of Dr. Moreau is a retelling of The Island of Dr. Moreau. And so I just think that was the wrong place for me to start. So I have checked out 3 books from the library. These are also 3 books that I already had the audiobooks for on Libro FM. Like for some reason, I have like collected Silvia Moreno-Garcia audiobooks. I don't know why. So I have Certain Dark Things. This is the like original cover. It looks like this now. I think this is a vampire story, and I'm pretty sure this is adult, but my library had it in the teen section, so I don't know. But as far as I know, I don't think Silvia Moreno-Garcia does teen books. Say hi to the train if you can hear that. And then I also got Velvet Was the Night. I think this is a Hollywood. Is this Hollywood or is that Silver Nitrate? This is set in Mexico City. It's a noir about a daydreaming secretary, a lonesome enforcer, and the mystery of a missing woman they're both desperate to find. Okay, so this is more of like a mystery. And then, of course, I have the iconic Mexican Gothic, which I am kind of scared to read. But I'm hoping that this is a win. This is like, if I'm going to like any of these books, this is the one I want to love if I'm doing predictions. So that's kind of the project for this video. We'll see how it goes. I'm really hoping, my hope in doing this kind of video, and especially if I do it again with different authors, is to realize that these are authors that I do really love or that whose work I can appreciate, and I just had a bad first impression. Or an incorrect first impression. Not bad. Not bad. Incorrect. Yeah. So anyways, that's the plan. I'm basically just gonna like sit on the couch and start reading because I woke up at 3:30 this morning and could not fall back to sleep. And I'm so tired. But I can't take a nap because that'll just make going to bed tonight so much harder. So I'm gonna read. Hopefully not fall asleep while I'm reading on the couch. And I think I'm gonna start with Certain Dark Things, but also I really need a win. I need to finish a book and feel like I'm accomplishing something. So it will probably be whichever one has the shortest audiobook. I have an update. I'm halfway through, a little over halfway through, and I'm really liking it so far. I don't think this is YA. It's not, a teenager could read it, but I don't think that's its home. I don't think that's the accurate age category. I think this is definitely written for an adult audience, but the main character, or one of the main characters, happens to be a 17-year-old, and so like that is maybe why my library thinks it's YA, but I don't think it's YA. But we have a slew of main characters in this book. One of them is Domingo, who is 17, and he is houseless and lives on the streets of Mexico City. And then we also have Atel, who is a young vampire. And I think she looks like she's 19, maybe. Maybe she looks like she's Domingo's age. She's actually a little bit older, but vampires in this world. I'm really loving the vampire lore in this book because it feels unique and a little bit different than what we're used to. And also, like, there's moments where Silvia Moreno-Garcia kind of like pokes fun at Western idea of vampires versus Mexican idea of vampires. So Atel is a certain type of vampire where they do age, but they age very, very slowly. And then we also are following another woman who is a police officer, and Anna, and she has a teenage daughter, and she's struggling to get by, and there's a lot of sexism on the police force, and she just wants a better life for her and her daughter. And then we're following another vampire named, I think his name is Nick, and his vampire clan is hunting Atzel for something that happened a number of years back, and he is not a good guy. He is not a good guy. His chapters are dark, which is where I'd be like if it was just Domingo and Attel, I could see it being YA, but Nick's chapters and Anna's chapters, I feel like, are what really makes it an adult book. But anyways, it's dark, it's a little gritty, and it's just kind of fun, which I'm really happy about because I didn't say this when I was telling you about the book initially, but this is categorized as noir, and noir is super hit or miss for me, but so far I'm really liking this one. I'm liking, like I said, there are different vampire cultures, and there are, like, this is obviously set in a real world but like vampires are a real thing. So there was a part where Atel was talking about how in the 1960s is when people realized that vampires were real and it wasn't just the myths and the stories. And she like pokes fun at like the obsession with Dracula. And I don't know, it's just fun. And like there's a mystery a little bit because Nick did something in his chapter where he killed somebody needlessly. I mean, anytime somebody is killed is needless, but yeah, he kills this girl, and so that brings the police force into it. So it's like got a cat mouse component going on because Nick is hunting Atel, but then Anna is hunting Nick unknowingly because she doesn't know who murdered the girl, but she knows there's a murderer. And yeah, it's just been really interesting to watch them like circle each other. And then there is like a little bit of a beginning of a romance between Domingo and Atel, which honestly, that's the part I care the least about. Like, I think Domingo is a fine character, but he's definitely the least interesting out of the POVs we're getting. And then every once in a while, there's like a side character thrown in whose POV we get. The pacing is good. It's moving pretty quick. I really like the audiobook, and I only have like just under 2 hours left on the audio, so I am gonna try and finish it today because I just need to finish a book so that I feel alive again. I wish I was joking. So I am done with work. I'm home. I've had lunch. It's just before noon. I'm gonna shower, make myself a coffee, and then I'm gonna settle down on the couch. And I don't think I'll be able to finish this book before I need to go pick my youngest up from school, but I will get really close, and then I can finish it at some point later this afternoon. I finished Certain Dark Things. I will tell you, this is not YA at all. I think this fell into the trap of somebody glanced at it, saw that the main character is 17, and put it in YA. And it's not. I'm giving this a 3.75. So not a new fave, but it is an improvement from The Daughter of Dr. Moreau, which I gave 2 stars. So we're working our way up, which is good. I did really like Moreno-Garcia's take on vampires in this book. I thought that was really interesting. I don't know a whole lot about Central America or Latin America history, unfortunately. That is definitely a gap in my knowledge base. But it like hinted somewhere in here that politics of Mexico City are reflected in this book a bit, even though it is fantastical. It's very much rooted in reality. I didn't love the romance in this, unfortunately, and it's a big part of the book. So to not dig the romance is really why it's a 3.75, because that is a big chunk of the book. And if you don't care about the romance, then the ending doesn't feel as important. There was a thing in the ending that made me sad, thing that happened, but the dog is okay, in case you were wondering. Nothing happens to the dog. Even though I didn't like the romance, or not didn't like it, I just didn't care. So even though the romance wasn't something I was excited about, I did like that we had, in a vampire-human romance, the woman was the vampire and the man was the human. We don't get that a whole lot, and so I liked having that dynamic flipped. And while I didn't care about the romance, I did think it was well done. Like I thought the pacing of it was pretty good. Obviously a little quick, but you know, I've read genre romances that move much faster, so I'm not really gonna quibble about how quickly the romance moves. But I really like the writing. I thought it was really atmospheric. This is a great October book, and I'm excited to keep going, and hopefully I'll like the next book even more than I like this. And I really like the audiobook, and I appreciate that. I was looking at the audiobooks. I appreciate that each one has a different narrator. I know sometimes an author will stick with a particular narrator through multiple books, even if those books don't involve the same main characters. And then that's a struggle for me, because I associate that narrator's voice with the character from the first book that I listened to them read. And so then when I'm reading subsequent books by the same author and the narrator's the same but the characters are different, it makes it hard for me to differentiate that we have moved on in this world. So appreciate that each narrator is different. I also think it's really interesting when a book gets a second life. This was originally published in 2015 or 2016, and then let me grab my phone. And then ooh, it got dark. Sorry. Let me put myself back where it was. No. Hey, Buzz. Yeah, I can't see her. It's too bright, but she's just sitting. Anyways, Certain Dark Things got a second life in 2021 when Macmillan created Tor Nightfire, which is Tor's horror imprint. And this got picked back up, republished, because before it had gone out of print, and so it was really hard to find. So I do find it interesting when books get a second life like that. And I do like the new cover much better than this one. I mean, this is very much a 2015, like a mid-2010s type of cover. And I think this one it gives you a better idea of like what you're getting into. I quickly realized, oh, that is Atul, and Quattle, I think is the dog's name. Anyways, I feel like this is a better representation of what you're getting yourself into. And Aida Reluzco is the narrator, and I probably butchered her last name, but she did a really good job. Okay, that's it. I will come back tomorrow when I have started book 2, and I have something to tell you about it. Good morning. It is the next day. It is my day off. I am so excited. I usually, in the past, have not worked on Fridays, and then I picked them up sometime last spring, and I finally have like shuffled my class schedule around to where I no longer work on Fridays, and I'm so excited. So I've gone to the gym. I've been listening to Velvet Was the Night on audio, and I'm halfway through, I think. Let me double check what the audiobook says. I have 52% of the way in. That is great. This is the noir style story. I'm 148 pages in. I am definitely going to finish this morning now that I'm back from the gym. I do need to do like some house cleaning today. I have decorated for fall, but since it's now officially October, I want to pull out the Halloween stuff, and I'm definitely going to get to that later. But for now, I just want to like sit and rest and read, and I'm so excited for it. But let's talk about this book. We are following two people in this book. We're following Mate, who is a 30-year-old woman. She works as a secretary in a law firm, and she's a hopeless romantic and a dreamer, and is deeply disappointed, or not even disappointed, deeply unfulfilled in her life. She wants to have a more adventurous life, a more romantic life, a more financially stable life, and she doesn't know how to get those things. And then our other character is Elvis, and I'm not sure how old Elvis is. I think he's younger, like early 20s, but I can't remember if we're told and I've just forgotten, or if we're not told how old he is. Mate being 30 is a big deal. This is also set in Mexico City in 1970. And so a 30-year-old woman is basically a 50-year-old woman. Like, there's no difference. And so Mate's age and being single is a big deal for her family, for her, for society. So that's definitely been a focus. Elvis, his age hasn't come into play as much, but Elvis has been recruited into this group called the Hawks, and there's an explanation for it at the beginning. The Hawks are an officially financed, organized, trained, and armed repressive group, the main purpose of which, since its founding in September 1968, has been the control of leftist and anti-government students. Again, like, this is based in a real place, in a real time. Like, Silvia Moreno-Garcia is talking about the politics that were going on in Mexico City in the 1970s, and that is a big old knowledge gap for me. So take everything I say with a grain of salt, and remember that I don't actually know what I'm talking about. So Elvis is a member of this organization, and we're following the two of them because they're connected by this woman named Leonora. She lives in Mate's apartment building and asks Mate to watch her cat while she goes away for a few days, and then she doesn't come back. And then Elvis is looking for Leonora for totally different reasons. And that's kind of where they haven't even intersected yet. We're just going back and forth as they're trying to figure out what happened to Leonora and what the politics of her disappearance are. And I am liking it a lot. I think it's funny. Mate is so hard to like. So hard to like. In so many ways. Like, one of the ways she deals with her disappointment in life is she's frequently asked to pet sit or house sit or water plants for people who live in her apartment building, and she agrees, but she charges them and the money, obviously, and then while she is taking care of their animal or their plants or their apartment, she'll steal something from them, like something really small, something personal, something they aren't likely to miss, and if they miss it, we'll assume that they have lost it. And like, that's her thing that gets her through her day-to-day life. And so she's hard to like. I'm just gonna say, she's hard to like. But on the other hand, I feel like Silvia Moreno-Garcia did such a good job of setting up what Mate's family life is like with her mom and her sister, how the world treats her. You can see the steps of how Mate got to where she is now, how she thinks, her actions. It all feels really believable and rational to Mate's character, even if I myself would not choose that course of action, but I'm in a totally different place than Mate is. I find Elvis the more likable character, even though I think his actions are more deplorable, in my opinion, than Mate's are, but I like him better. I don't know. And maybe that's intentional. But I'm really enjoying the writing. I was thinking last night that, there are some authors that I love to read from, but their books are very much not the same, but their writing style is the same. Like, I can tell a T. Kingfisher book just based off the writing, because even though all of her plots are different, she has different characters, there's something about her writing that is just quintessential T. Kingfisher, and I love authors like that for when I just want to pick up a book and be guaranteed that I'll have a good time as a comfort read. And then there are other authors that are more chameleon-like in their writing and do something different every time, and you would be hard-pressed to identify their writing without seeing their name on the cover. I think of like Akwaeke Emezi is like that. They write a different genre pretty much every time they publish, and I feel like they have that chameleon-like aspect to their writing. And I would say Silvia Moreno-Garcia is like that too, just in the, I guess, 2.5 books that I've read so far. I think Certain Dark Things was wildly different from The Daughter of Dr. Moreau, and I would say the same thing with Velvet Was the Night, like wildly different in writing style, in plot. Even if Certain Dark Things and Velvet Was the Night take place in the same city, they are so different. And I really appreciate that ability to do something different every single time. I think that's a very cool skill for an author to have. I did want to read you a couple things. So this is in, like I said, Mexico City in the 1970s, and there's a lot of political unrest. There's a lot of fear of communists in the city right now, and the government is really harsh and violent and doesn't want to hear criticism. Sound familiar? I can't think of a single government that's acting like that right now. And there was this quote in a chapter I listened to, a couple quotes in the chapter I listened to. I was at the gym this morning that really stuck out with me and felt very applicable to 2025, which I don't love because this was published in 2021. And again, based on real political events in the 1970s. So this is the first part, and then there's a second part. These lines aren't connected, but the ideas are connected. We have a problem in Mexico. You only have to look around for 5 minutes to see that. Poverty, instability, corruption. We need change. And then on the next page, it goes on to say, change should come peacefully. We need a more educated nation. We need to come to agreements. Conversations can't take place when you have folks like Yaqui trying to kidnap business people and rob banks. I think it's, same of what we have going on in the United States right now. There's a lot of poverty, there's instability, there's corruption, there's a lot of people who are suffering for no reason, and this country really needs to change the trajectory we're on right now. But I also believe like change should come peacefully. Like we shouldn't resort to political violence. People we disagree with shouldn't be assassinated, and our nation as a whole needs to be more educated. The amount of like American citizens who don't understand how our government works or how like our political systems work, or even just how like science work. Like I can't remember what it was, but I saw a quote the other day of like how the percentage of Americans who don't understand the scientific method, and it's a jaw-dropping percentage. And yeah, we need to educate our citizens better so we can all make more informed decisions and we can have more productive conversations and disagreements. And I agree, Silvia Moreno-Garcia, 100%. So anyways, that is enough yapping because now this clip is real long and I'm gonna sit down. I'm already sitting down, but I'm gonna turn off the camera and I'm gonna read my book. Oh my gosh. Okay, I just finished Velvet Was the Night, and I liked this one even more than Dark Certain Things. This is definitely like a slower moving book or slower paced book. Off topic, but should I put another bat or two closer to the bottom of the couch? Or does that look weird that there's like a gap there? Should they come farther down and over? Anyways, move back back to the book. This is definitely slower paced, but it's a very steady slow pace. And then the ending picked up. There was so much action at the end, and I really liked this one. I like that there is an author's note just going over the reality of what was going on in Mexico City in the 1970s and like the incidents that have sparked what is going on in this book. And I really appreciate she did that, I think, at the end of The Daughter of Dr. Moreau too, where she had an author's note talking about what was going on. And I really wish that publishers would start putting those types of author's notes at the beginning of the book, because whenever I read something that is based on actual historical events, I want that author's note that explains it at the beginning so that I have context for the book that I'm about to read. Putting it at the end, I always wish I'd had that information at the beginning, but I don't always think or even know if I should check. I guess with Silvia Moreno-Garcia, I should just automatically assume now that there is some sort of author's note at the back, and I should just go ahead and check. So I'll try to remember to do that going forward. I don't know. Mate is such a tricky main character because so much of what she thinks and does is unlikable, but also kind of relatable. So I don't know, she's a tricky main character. I think it takes a lot of skill to write somebody like that. I liked Elvis the whole way through. He really goes through a great character arc of figuring out who he wants to be and what he wants his life to be like. I love that even though Mate and Elvis never interact with each other really until, for most of the book actually, they barely interact, they have this common thread of loving American rock music, and that ties them together. So music plays a fairly big part in this book because it's really important to Mate, and it's something that she really loves that nobody else really understands. Nobody else really understands her love of these romance comics that she buys from the newspaper stand. She's just interested in all these things that aren't conventionally approved interests, and she gets a lot of grief for that. And then Elvis is the same. He's grown up really loving American literature and books, even though he hasn't had a formal education. All types of books, not just American books, but there's quite a few like American titles that are mentioned. And he also has a love of rock music, and like Elvis and who else did they mention? Bobby Darin, things, you know, from that era. And so I really love when music plays a big part in books because I really love music, and it's always played a really important role in my life. Like I have a lot of songs that are touchstones for me for different times in my life, and I grew up being in choir and I took piano lessons for forever. Both of my siblings play an instrument, almost all of my children. If they don't play an instrument, they have dabbled in playing instruments. They're all in choir. My husband was in choir and is a singer and plays guitar. Anyways, it's just been, it's something that is a big part of my life, and so I really like when it comes into the books that I am reading as well. Though I know music and books is not everybody's favorite thing, and I know there are people who don't really like music. I have a couple of friends that don't really like music, and while I don't judge them, I definitely don't understand, so... Anyways, yeah, this is a 4. I really enjoyed this. This was a good time. In the past, typically do not enjoy noir. I'm pretty picky about it, but I think this is like the best case scenario for me in reading a noir book. So I'm so happy right now. This is such a great feeling. All right, so I have been reading these Moreno-Garcia books incredibly quickly, like 24 hours or less. So it is 11:30 now. I'm going to take a little bit of a break from reading. I'm going to keep decorating, probably going to watch some booktube, and then I am going to hop in to Mexican Gothic after lunch. I'm probably the most intimidated by that one just because that's the one I've heard the most about, and I'm a little scared. If I'm being honest, I'm a little scared to read it, but I feel like it's such an iconic book. Like out of all of Silvia Moreno-Garcia's, I feel like it's definitely the most well-known and has the most title recognition. I don't even know if that's like a phrase or a thing, but you know what I mean? So I'm nervous. And am I taking a break because I am nervous? Maybe, yeah, probably. But also I've been reading a lot and I want to rot my brain a little bit before I dive into another book. The lighting's a little funky. It's almost 4 o'clock and I don't know, I think I'm in like the high 30s, almost 40% of the way through Mexican Gothic. I think I'm done reading for today. I went hard today with the reading, which was great because I felt like I've been failing at reading, which, you know, isn't really a thing that you can do, but that's how I've been feeling. So it's nice to just have like a solid block of time designated to reading today, but I am definitely a little read out. I'm on page 116, chapter 11. This is very creepy and foreboding so far. This is in 1950s. Mexico City is where our main character Noemi lives, and she is like a debutante. She's in this wealthy family. She has a pretty frivolous lifestyle. She goes to a lot of parties. She wants to go to university to study anthropology, but because of the time period and the fact that she's a woman, her parents won't let her. And then she gets this letter from her cousin Catalina, who has recently married into this British family that lives in another town. And it's weird. It doesn't sound like Catalina. She's super freaked out. And Noemi's father is like, look, you go see her, check it out, get this sorted. And if you do this, your mom and I will let you go to the university. So Noemi journeys to this village and to this house, which is like described as damp and dark, and it's not well taken care of. And you can tell this is a family that used to be very wealthy and well off, but is no longer that way, but still has the airs of a more well off family. They're super racist too. And like the first night Noemi's there, the patriarch, the grandfather, like goes on this pro-eugenics tirade, and it's like, oh no, 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 no. So Noemi is just trying to figure out what is wrong with her cousin. They claim she has tuberculosis and that it'll be fine, you know, not ideal, but not a disaster. But they're also keeping Catalina from Noemi and really putting up guardrails to control her, to control Noemi and to keep her contained and to keep her from asking too many questions. But luckily, Noemi is very determined and persistent, and I'm interested to see where this goes. I know there's like a mushroom element into this book, and I do really like What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher, which is also like a mushroom horror book. So I'll be interested to see like what direction this one takes compared to What Moves the Dead. I think I'm good for today. I don't have a whole lot longer left because I listened to it on audio for most of today, and I have 2 hours and 39 minutes left. So I anticipate being able to finish this tomorrow because I think I'm going to wake up early before the kids so I can get some uninterrupted reading time in, and then I guess finish it if I go to the gym tomorrow. I don't know, but I will definitely be finishing this tomorrow. But for now, for tonight, I think I'm done. I think I'm read out, but I am really liking this so far. And of course, now that I've read, like, it's my third Silvia Moreno-Garcia in 3 days, so I can see hallmarks of her writing, like between Certain Dark Things and Velvet Was the Night, like I could see similarities between Elvis and Domingo from in those two books. And then in this one, I can see similarities. Oh, what was it? I can't even remember. Obviously, Mexico City is a through line for all three, and they're all historical in some way, shape, or form. She's very like she still is very much a chameleon, and I appreciate like the very different tones for each books, you know, from like a paranormal coming of age romance story to a like mystery noir book, and then this is, you know, gothic horror. So all very different, but I think once you get more familiar with her writing and with her books, there is definitely like some Easter eggs, I guess, that you're only going to find in a Silvia Moreno-Garcia book. So yeah, those are my thoughts for today, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Good morning, happy Saturday, and I am so happy to report that I get it. I get the hype. Like, this is really good. Surprising no one. I really loved how creepy this was. The sense of dread, how atmospheric the house was. It is way creepier, in my opinion, than What Moves the Dead. Primarily because, like, there's a lot of similarities between those two books as far as the, like, spore horror goes. But I find this to be a lot scarier because the family is like super racist and predatory, and just the harm is coming from so many different places, or the threat of harm is coming at Noemi from so many different places. Whereas in What Moves the Dead, the house and the fungi is the horror element. Like, the people are not the horror element. And this is a combo, which I think makes it extra, extra creepy. And it was kind of slower paced in the beginning, which I didn't mind at all. Like, it added to that sense of dread. And, you know, it's gothic, and gothic is a little bit slower paced because it's more about atmosphere and vibes than it is about, you know, action. But man, oh man, the last, like, I don't even know, 30 minutes, 45 minutes of reading this book. I mean, I was on the audiobook primarily because I was doing like this paint by numbers thing that I have, and I keep forgetting that I have it, and every once in a while I remember and I work on it. So I was listening on the audiobook, and I have the audiobook sped up quite a bit, so I don't know how much it actually is. Maybe the last 100 pages. Anyways, really action-packed, goes so quickly, really good, really fun. I'm giving it a 4. I had a great time. This was maybe technically I should give it a 4.25 because I did think I enjoyed this just a little bit more than Velvet Was the Night, but not a ton more. Like, my enjoyment level is pretty even. I just think I enjoyed Noemi in a way that I didn't enjoy the main characters from the other two books. Like, this is by far my favorite of Silvia Moreno-Garcia's main characters so far. I really like Noemi. That's the end of the project. Hold on, let me go get the other two books. So I am truly delighted with how the first video in what will hopefully be a series went, because I will 100% read more from Silvia Moreno-Garcia. I think I just started with the wrong book. Like, that was not where I should start. I don't think that's a Silvia Moreno-Garcia book that's really worth your time, but I thoroughly enjoyed these. I'm repeating myself, but I will definitely pick up more books by her. I will definitely be picking up Bewitched, The Bewitching, her new one, and I also want to check out her like more Regency one, because I've heard really good things about the romance in that one, The Beautiful Ones. Like, those are much higher on my mental TBR than they were beforehand. Like, because before it was very much like a, oh, I'm kind of interested, but I don't know because I don't know if this is an author that I enjoy. Yes, absolutely. I will be reading those now. So yeah, that is the end of this experiment. Thank you for joining me and spending your precious time with me. Let me know if there is an author, like if you were gonna do a similar project, which author would you pick? I have a couple, my tea is ready. I have a couple authors that I am toying with doing next. I'm trying to keep a running list going. I'm contemplating doing either Rebecca Ross next or Isabel Cañas because I have had like very mediocre time with the one book I've read by both of those authors. So yeah, those are kind of who I'm thinking about next. Let me know if you have a preference between those two. And again, yeah, let me know who you would do if you were gonna do a similar concept. And if you just wanna leave an emoji to let me know you were here, let's do a mushroom emoji. And like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Bye!